All right, so it's March 14th today. We had no new bank failures yet. And why I have these 200 ounces of silver is for the thumbnail once again. And I want you to see how dusty it is. Y'all see how dusty it is? Because I ain't used them. I told them it's their time to shine, no pun intended. And then it's just all dusty. All right, anyways. But yeah, so there you go. Good thumbnail, good thumbnail. All right, anyways. But for real, I have another update for you. As you see in the title, today I want to talk about Western Alliance Bancorp. I do think they will be the next to fail, and I have like 4 other ones, and I want to just go over. It's a very simple logic, but we got to learn a lot today, and we also had a lot of calm, even though we had the CPI, which surprisingly, not surprisingly, it was not the biggest focus, but we did hear from a lot of CEOs and banks today, and they all said they've been getting reported inflows. The first headline in the morning today was the big banks like JP Morgan, even Wells Fargo, Bank of America. They're saying that they've actually been getting more money due to all of this stuff going on. So they're saying it's a net positive for them. I know, and then again, just be careful because we'll see how all of this ages. You even got to hear from the Schwab CEO, and he said everything is all good, and he even announced on CNBC that he bought 50,000 shares of his own company. That one was pretty wild as well. We even woke up with Moody downgrading the banking sector from stable to negative, and even the S&P, they did the same exact thing. And then after hours today, you had Democratic lawmakers passing a bill to roll back the Trump deregulation, the bank deregulation bill by Trump. This is what a lot of people have been saying caused all of this. I know you've heard that before, but essentially it would lead to banks with $50 billion being regulated as if banks had $250 billion because Trump, his deregulation made it so that the $50 billion banks don't get scrutinized the same way. So that's all that happened today, but this is the main story, and this is going to explain Western Alliance. You're going to want to listen to this, but essentially what happened, besides even CPI, was that the bank stocks opened up this morning and we were rallying. I'm telling you, the amount of 40, 50% gains that you saw, this was actually wild to see, but then by the end of the day, we saw a lot of them either sell off and go negative like Western Alliance or give up a big portion of the gains that they just have. So this is literally why I think Western Alliance is going to fail. I mean, disclaimer, this is not financial advice, but all I'm going off of is what I saw today. I'm actually even bunching Western Alliance, WAL, with a bunch of other regional banks that we saw have the same behavior today. Pretty much WAL, Western Alliance, that was the worst, but there's also First Republic, FRC, PACW, LOB, and FITB. I would even put up Zion on that list, but I think they're kind of a little bit separate. I mean, for the most part, any regional bank could get the smoke, but what I want you to notice about these charts, like First Republic kind of highlights it great because they still closed up 40% today, but you notice from Friday, they're still down 50%. So welcome to percentages. It gets wild here. But the point I'm trying to show you is that a lot of these stocks, even after this little relief today, some of them gave it back up. But even like Bank of America, a lot of these names are still lower than when we saw everything happen on Thursday. So what I'm trying to tell you, here's the simple way. I pretty much think Western Alliance and any of those companies could be the next to fail, simply based off of how they moved today. So if you went up 30 to 50% and then you ended up going negative, I think that that is extremely risky, and it may be highlighting some of what we got going on. So why? Because it's a giant deal in terms of confidence. Imagine all the people who got punched in the face today by that, all the people who said buy when you're fearful, and then you buy it, then you're feeling good, and then it comes down by the end of the day, or just even what you saw today in the market. And this was a big thing. All of the bank stocks were going up, but by the end of the day, even as it starts dropping and you give up a 50% gain, that paranoia of what is coming next, that starts to hit the market. But as far as like investor sentiment, investor confidence now in the banks, that move you saw today, especially with Western Alliance, probably one of the most negative things you could have saw, or at least that's what I believe in my opinion. But the other part about this, which I think is getting overlooked, and I really hope people pay a lot of attention solution to this is simply the share price of these banks. It has an effect on their company and ability to manage all of this stuff going on. I don't know if you remember, but SIVB, that day on Thursday when we made the first ever video about it, they were looking to sell shares of their company. So I hope you realize how nuts that is, because they wanted to sell the shares, then everything happened, then the share prices kept going down and down and down, then they canceled the offering, and then before you knew it, the government came over and took over everything. Even Schwab today, CEO, go watch that interview, you'll notice he mentions how share price has affected things and got people looking in certain areas. That is a huge deal, and simply the price of your shares right now, it can affect how you manage any sort of offering, or really how it's going to be to defend your balance sheet. Simply, the logic is the lower the share price equals harder to defend balance sheet and bank run. And that's where I'm saying companies like Western Alliance, FRC, the ones that moved up a lot and the shares are really, really volatile, but especially if they come back down lower and near the lows they were just at, that is going to put them in a much more difficult position to try to defend anything, talk their way out of it, sell shares, raise financing, back it with collateral, who knows, but all of these become issues the lower your share price is. That's why some people have been feeling good with JP Morgan. You'll notice it's been staying at the same price. So hopefully that helps. And one thing I want to add to all of this is that I don't know if it's going to be imminent. And what I'm saying is that Western Alliance, it's probably not going to be an imminent crash. But what I do know is that this situation is not over yet with all of the banks. I mean, simply, we are at day 4, things move fast. And even when there's no news, you see how things are. That's exactly what you saw today. Again, the last kind of 2 days, the news starts to slow down. No new bank collapses. People start to feel really good. It starts to calm things down. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw no more bank stocks fail, and then 2 quarters from now, maybe a quarter, we hear WAL goes under or somebody else. The point I'm trying to tell you is that ever since we stopped hearing about more and more failures, I said that very weird, and then even the government stepping in with the Fed backstop in this really, really swift response and reassuring everybody everything's okay, it is helping a lot now. But I hope you get this concept. I hope you made it this far. I hope you like the video and subscribe, because we do this every day. That's why I hope you made it here. But here's a really important point I want everybody to know, is that the real crisis arrives after the first Band-Aid fails. So you've been hearing Michael Burry. He said he doesn't see it as an issue. Everybody's still debating. Can anybody give this answer? I don't think so. Nobody knows right now. There's uncertainty. Bank stocks go up and down. You see the fear and paranoia come right back instantly. But this is a very good historical indicator, is that when something big happens, people step in. Right when they step in, you know it's serious, right? But now, once they step in and it fails, that is where the real crisis comes from. So this is what happened in the 70s and Bretton Woods, how we finally got away from gold. And here, before instituting floated exchange rate systems, they failed at other things and said, let's try this. And then it fails. And then they say, okay, now we got to put a Band-Aid on. The currencies are doing it all over again. Let me give you a more recent example. COVID. A lot of people forget this, is that in March, it was like the beginning of March, the Fed did an unscheduled emergency meeting to cut rates, right? That wasn't the first and only emergency cut, because 2 weeks later, as things got worse and that failed to slow everything down, guess what? The Fed did another emergency meeting and they came in and then they cut the rates to 0. That was just in 2020. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the same thing is probably going to happen here. You had the first big issues, couple of failures, government steps in, people give it some time, they're feeling a little good, but once that Band-Aid fails, then you're going to be able to confirm the next step of everything. And if that Band-Aid fails, then we know we have a very, very big problem on our hands. So hopefully you got this far. Hopefully you got it, but this is why I'm thinking now Western Alliance, their share price and share volatility, the confidence that it garnered today, I think it's all going to hurt them. I think all those other names I listed, they are on the chopping block. And here's a fun fact, Ken Griffin today of Citadel, he bought 5% stake in Western Alliance. So I don't know. We'll see what he sees or not, but I'm going to be watching these plays. I have no plays on any of them, but these would be the next ones I'm watching, especially now as we move through the days. We have to start moving and adjusting quickly because we're going from, oh my gosh, it's a failure, what do we watch next? Or this one's failing, and we know where to focus and going after the ones that just show up dead. But now we got to kind of see, how is the market and banking sector, how are they going to perform in this purgatory between the first failure and the first solution failing? Well, that's why we got to put our blinders on or our glasses and see. So Chad, let me know what you think. Post any below. But as far as everything else for today, CPI, it was hot in the sense that the last 3-month average, that has been going up, and people did not like that. But what people did like today is that everything came in line. There was no shocking surprises. Now, we do have the PPI tomorrow, and that could show us some stuff about real estate pricing that was negative in the CPI today. And I think that can move things, but other than that, the next few days now and really up until next week, it's just going to be waiting and watching for the next bank failure, seeing what these banks say, any more updates, watching the share prices specifically, and then now seeing where that momentum takes us until Powell. And pretty much after Powell, that's where I think we're going to get all the moves. And then here's the final fun fact. If you watch the videos, remember, we post these daily updates every day. We said this in March. Wait until the March 17th expiration, and I don't think Friday is going to be too crazy. It probably will be, but what I'm saying is after that expiration, things are going to start moving crazy, and that's where things get really, really exciting. And, well, beware the Ides of March. By the middle of March, that's where everything starts shifting. So I hope you're ready. But Chad, that is your watch list. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed this style with things. I've been trying to keep it simple, but we are following along with this, man. And honestly, thank you all for being there. Thank you for subscribing and supporting. And honestly, to share this, it's historical. And like I said, we don't have to watch out for imminent. Things could be right around the corner, but we're going to have to be juggling this with everything else because it's already a volatile year. But I'm glad you've been here. I'm glad to be able to share this, and let's see where it goes and be open to anything that can happen. Meaning, we never know. We're always getting surprised anyways, but let's see where this takes us. Amor Fati. I hope you enjoy it. God bless you, and that's it. I'm out. Horn. You like, see, I got the horn. Okay. Yeah, let's go. Okay, I love you. Peace out.